Welcome to Bloomington Today. I'm Kaylin Cockrell. Thanks for joining us. May 6th to the 12th is dedicated as National Arson Awareness Week. This is an important time where fire safety personnel educate the public to the growing problem that is knowingly and willingly setting a fire or arson. And although this is a nationally recognized time of the year, incidents of arson hit Bloomington every year.
We do see a spike in arson-related fires during the summertime, especially when the kids are out of school. The most common occurrences that we run into are the portable bathrooms that are at the parks and the schools and those facilities. We see a lot of those being intentionally burnt. And I think in interviewing some of the individuals that we have charged through the years, they seem to think that, what's the big deal? This is just a portable bathroom. But it does have an impact on the community, especially when it's not there and it takes time to replace it. Not only that, but we're dealing with costs. These are very expensive pieces of equipment.
The U.S. Fire Administration's webpage has identified the 2012 Arson Awareness Week theme as Preventing Youth Fire Setting, an issue Inspector McCarthy says warrants a need for education and response.
Just to give you an idea, the U.S. Fire Administration's got some statistics out there. From 2005 to 2009, there was 56,000 fires that were set or caused by youth. And it brings home just the importance, not only the amount of fires, but if you think about that, you're dealing with $286 million worth of direct property loss. Even more importantly and sadder still is the amount of injuries and fatalities that occurred. You're looking at 110 civilian deaths as a result of these fires being started. And you're also dealing with close to 1,000 civilian injuries because of these.
Inspector McCarthy says this year's arson awareness theme should remind parents to speak to their kids about fire safety as they're let out of school for the summer. Offering ideas about safe, fun activities to participate in while mom and dad are away at work or while they're out with their friends can ultimately save lives. This city's website is a great resource for residents or educators looking for increased education on fire safety. Log on and keyword search fire. A new traffic signal is making its way into Bloomington. Let's find out what motorists will start seeing around town and why it's a safer and more efficient signal. Take a look. Have you ever had to wait a lengthy amount of time at a traffic light to make a left turn when it was clearly safe to go? Well, improvements are on the way. In an effort to streamline traffic flow and intersection efficiency, the city will soon welcome some new traffic control signals.
The new traffic signals that are going to start going up around Bloomington utilize what's called the flashing yellow arrow to handle left turn traffic.
Motorists will mainly see one of two left-hand turn signals, fully permissive and fully protected signals, each serving its purpose based on the intersection.
In traffic, you're always looking for the proper balance between safety and mobility, and that becomes especially true with left turns. Left turns are operated in three different modes. There's fully permissive left turns, where when you approach a traffic signal, you see the familiar green ball, where you can make your left turn, but you need to yield to oncoming traffic. The highest, most restrictive type of left turn is a fully protected left turn, where when you're sitting in your left turn lane, you'll notice there's a red, yellow, and green arrow. You cannot make a left turn unless there's a green arrow coming up. That's the safest mode of left turn, but it's also, drivers will encounter the most delay with that because there's breaks in oncoming traffic often, but you still can't make that left turn because the arrow's red.
We spent some time in neighboring cities where flashing yellow arrow signals are already in place. Robert will now walk us through the correct way to navigate a flashing yellow arrow intersection.
As you approach the signal, if you see that familiar green arrow, you do have the right-of-way and you can go ahead and execute your left turn. The only difference is if that yellow's flashing, if you see a flashing yellow arrow as opposed to the familiar green arrow, you do have the obligation to yield to any oncoming traffic as well as any pedestrians that might be in the crosswalk.
And like any new traffic signal, Roberts is confident that if motorists expect the change and are educated in how to use it, road conditions at the affected intersections can only improve thanks to the change.
There's two key benefits to using the flashing yellow arrow. The first is the increased mobility associated with that. Unlike the fully protected left turns, you don't have to wait for that green arrow. You can go ahead and make your left turn if there's sufficient brakes in traffic to do so. The greatest benefit, however, is safety. These have been shown to increase mobility without jeopardizing safety. They're much safer than a standard permissive left turn where you're just faced with the green ball at the signal.
Roberts says motorists can expect to see up to 3 flashing yellow arrows around the city as soon as this summer. Residents are encouraged to visit MnDOT's safety information website or call City Engineering at 952-563-4870 for more information on flashing yellow arrows. We'll let residents know just where those arrows will be going once plans are finalized. Property owners erect fences for a variety of reasons. Bloomington City staff would like to remind residents of some citywide fence regulations in place. Take a drive through Bloomington. From eastern neighborhoods to western neighborhoods, you'll likely see a fence bordering a business or around a homeowner's backyard. Fences can be erected for many different reasons, and the city has implemented a few key regulations to ensure the public's interest is met.
Bloomington has adopted fence standards both for aesthetic and for safety reasons. On the aesthetic side, the city is trying to preserve the open character along residential streets that we have today. On the safety side, the city is trying to preserve visibility at intersections and also to keep eyes on the street. The idea is that if residents along a street have good visibility of the street, that will be safer than if the street is hidden from view.
There are height limits in place for fences depending on the location. For example, a residential fence has certain requirements for the front yard and different requirements in the back. Markegard explains.
With these standards, the city was trying to balance the needs for privacy with a desire for an open residential character. So in a rear yard or in a side yard, a fence along a property line could be 6 feet in height. It could be fully opaque, in other words, a privacy fence. But it's different in the front yard or in a yard adjacent to a street. There, the standard is 4 feet in height or less and no more than 50% opaque. So that would allow an open style fence that might be chain link, split rail, wrought iron, that type of an open fence. The exception to that would be along an arterial street where a full 6-foot privacy fence is allowed.
Fences of any style or material placed on corner lots and driveways must, however, stay out of the clear view triangle.
Clear view triangle is at the intersection of 2 streets, and it's the area that we're trying to keep free visibility lines for safety reasons. And it's 15 feet back from the property corner in each direction, so the triangle formed by those 3 points.
Markegard suggests residents locate their property lines before installing fences to ensure the fences are fully on their own properties. Also, consider setting the fences back from the property lines further into your yard. If maintenance on the opposite yard is needed, it could be an issue. All in all, fence standards are designated to serve the people who live, work in, or visit Bloomington.
The city's trying to maintain an open character in residential areas. And that's very good for property values, and also the fence standards serve to promote public safety.
Planning mainly gets inquiries regarding residential fence standards, which is what this story highlighted today. Fence standards for commercial properties are slightly different and require a building permit if higher than 6 feet. The City Planning Division is happy to answer any questions specific to your yard, business, or fence thoughts. Just call 952-563-8920, or you can visit the city's website and keyword search fence to view the fence information sheet. Also, remember to call before you dig to locate any utility lines. Last month on Bloomington Today, we brought you news of an ambitious goal by volunteers enlisted to assist people, or VEEP, to help refill their food pantry shelves. VEEP wanted to raise 100,000 pounds of food for the Minnesota Food Share Month campaign that took place during the month of March. This was in an effort to fill these shelves for residents who can't afford groceries. And thanks to the generosity of VEEP partners and the community, that goal was reached. Today, the food pantry shelves at VEEP's Bloomington location at 9731 James Avenue South are full, and neighbors in need are able to be serviced. VEEP would like to extend a huge thank you for the support from local businesses, organizations, individuals, and schools who helped put this goal within reach. And it's now time for a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a local veterinarian and an animal control officer in the studio with us for another Pet Project segment. You won't want to miss this. Welcome back to Bloomington Today. We are now pleased to be joined by Animal Control Officer Jacob Young, as well as Dr. Margaret Corey. She is a veterinarian at Wolf Animal Hospital here in Bloomington. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kelly. Thanks for having us.
Well, first, Officer Young, why don't you start by telling us a bit about the relationship between Bloomington Animal Control and the Wolf Animal Hospital?
Sure. We just have a very good working relationship, a quality working relationship between the two entities.
Okay. And then when I had contacted you, it was what made you kind of want to bring on the
Well, when you had contacted me and we talked about tick and tick-borne diseases, you know, basically I kind of handle the law enforcement side of the animal care and control, and I didn't want to talk about something that I wasn't fully qualified to do. And so I asked Dr. Corey if she'd come on our show and be gracious enough to do it, and she said she would, so here she is.
Perfect. Well, you know, Dr. Corey, the weather is getting warmer, and while many of us like that, there are things that come along with that that maybe aren't so great. So, you know, there's several things that pet owners need to be aware of. Probably the biggest risk right now is what, Dr. Corey?
Tick-borne diseases. And this year, as much as we love the warmer winter this year too, we found that we didn't have 1 month this whole winter that was free of ticks. So we're anticipating that this tick season be extreme. So we're already seeing a lot of ticks on pets, and we're worried about the diseases that they may transmit.
What are some of the risks that come along with disease transmission through ticks on our pets? What are some of the risks there, and then we'll get into how we can prevent them.
Well, as much as we love our pets, one of the risks is to ourselves, because they do bring ticks into the house, and those ticks can get on us and give us the same diseases they can give our pets. So we want to focus on keeping our pets healthy and tick-free, not only to keep them free of those diseases, but also ourselves free of those diseases.
Absolutely. So Lyme's disease is one of the biggest ones that we hear about. What can happen with that, and are there other ones that we should know about as well?
There are quite a few, actually. The big ones here in this area are Lyme and anaplasmosis. Those can cause different symptoms, and unfortunately the symptoms start out fairly vague. And the ones we're most familiar with are fever and joint pain with Lyme. Okay. Anaplasmosis, the symptoms for dogs and people are a little bit more vague. With dogs, we're very lucky to have a really good test that's very affordable to test for those. In addition to, it also tests for Ehrlichia, another one that fortunately we don't see Ehrlichia here in Minnesota very often, but maybe we will this year.
Okay, with the booming tick season that unfortunately we're going to have. How can we prevent these?
There's a lot of products that will help kill ticks as they get on your animal, and be sure to use those products, and I would talk to your veterinarian about application, because the application of them is critical.
Okay. All right. You know, and ticks, while dangerous, they're not the only risks to your pets. You know, there's fleas, heartworms, intestinal parasites that all come around this year as well, correct?
Yes, that's true.
And what kinds of things can we do to prevent or counter those?
Luckily, fleas are more easily treated or prevented than ticks are.
Oh.
So the same products that repel and kill ticks also do that for fleas. So that's somewhat easy here in Minnesota. In the south, they have much more difficulty with fleas. So that's good, and intestinal parasites are treated with oral medications that your veterinarian should guide you on.
Okay, so the heartworm pills, probably the most
Yep,
common.
heartworm helps with a bloodborne disease, heartworm.
Oh, okay.
And it does help with some intestinal parasites too, but the intestinal parasites typically need a larger dosing and in additional medication too.
That really just makes your pet's yearly checkup so critical.
Yeah, it really does.
You know, there's so much to learn. Well, you know, kind of switching over from the creepy crawly things that are, you know, can be a risk to our pets right now. Pesticides, fertilizers, they're all in high use right now. You know, Dr. Corey, is there a way to keep, you know, insects and keep our yards green and beautiful without putting our pets at risk?
From what I've seen over the last decade or so, the chemicals that they use on the yard have become pretty safe. Okay. So I would follow whatever instructions are on those bags, and you can contact those companies. But most typically, all those products after 24 hours are pretty safe for your pets.
Okay.
And not to forget about vehicle antifreeze, because that is very toxic to the pets, especially this time of year.
Not just in the winter. We talk about that a lot in the winter. So just keeping that up.
Keeping it up and checking your garage floor to make sure if your vehicle's leaking, your pet's in your garage or in your driveway, that those are getting cleaned up and your vehicle fixed.
And there's a very specific reason that pets, if there was a spill, are attracted to it. What is that?
The antifreeze is very sweet, sweet smelling and sweet tasting to the animal, and they are attracted to it.
Okay.
The thing I find about that is people are surprised it may only take a teaspoon.
Oh, wow.
A very small amount for a pet to become very sick, a smaller dog or cat.
Okay. All right, so keep an eye on that. Officer Young, you know, you've already had some calls this year about pets in cars.
We did.
Let's talk about, you know, the huge health risks that can be associated by that mistake that pet owners might not even think.
Right. You know, we've had the unusually warm spring, and about 3 weeks ago we had weather in the 85-degree range, and we had a couple calls where we were getting called out, and you know, people just innocently had, actually one gentleman went out for a cup of coffee, and he was inside a restaurant, and we got called, and we measured the internal temperature in the vehicle, and it was 110 degrees. So fortunately for that animal, we didn't have to remove it from the car. We were able to find him in the restaurant, and he came out, and he was very sorry for what had happened, and it was a learning experience for him, and we try and be very proactive with that. We've actually put some things online for pet owners and people that might be interested to see that kind of information, exactly what we do and how we do it when it relates to dogs and cars.
Absolutely. Even with the windows cracked, and some people just don't realize.
Even with the windows cracked. Now, a lot of people will call if they see a dog in a vehicle, 50, 60-degree day. That is not a crime. It's not a crime to leave a dog in a vehicle until the conditions in the vehicle would present a life safety hazard to the dog. That's where we become involved. So if you see a dog in a car ramp, it's 50, 60 degrees, there's a bowl of water, you know, could the owner maybe made a wiser decision? Possibly, but that wouldn't constitute a reason to call animal control, only if the animal's in distress.
Okay, I see. Dr. Corey, in your years of practice, have you seen serious injuries result from leaving a pet in a vehicle?
We have seen death related to heat stroke especially.
Okay, so a very real risk there. And you know, if your dog is an outdoor dog, just like in the winter, the city has ordinances that protect the animals, or the state, I guess, has ordinances that protect the animals. There are summer ones as well. Talk about some of those.
The state law requires that from June through September, if an animal is housed outside, the animal has to have shade accessible to the animal. That way, if the dog is in direct sun rays and it wants to go lay in a shady area to cool itself, it has the ability to do so. And we will get a lot of calls over the summer months of dogs that are exposed, and if they are and an owner is not available, we are able to, under state law, remove remove the dog and bring it back to the shelter, and the owner can come and pick it up afterwards, and we'll kind of explain that to them.
Okay. And this season also brings different grooming suggestions for your outdoor dog as well. Talk a bit about that.
You know what? I'm going to refer that to Dr. Corey.
Okay.
She's probably better to do that than me. Even.
Yeah.
I may differ with a lot of people about this, but I don't think that the hair should go very short, and especially for dogs that naturally have bushy hair. The hair also acts as an insulator, such as you would see people in the desert wearing their outfits and their turbans on their heads. Because the insulation also keeps them cooler, just like it keeps you warmer in the wintertime. So if your house didn't have insulation in it, it would be incredibly hot in the summer. And that also works for dogs as well. So I don't like them to be trimmed too short. People do like to get them groomed, but try to not go too short with the hair, because it does act as an insulator as well.
I bet a lot of people did not know that.
We've actually seen sunburn with dogs that are shaved too
That's
short.
what I was going to ask, sunburn.
And you can use sunburn sprays and creams on your dogs.
Oh.
And it's a good idea, especially on the nose. Or if you think that for whatever reason, let's say the groomer cut the hair shorter than you wanted, you can use the sprays on them if you cover their face.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, finally, Officer Young, why don't you give us a little bit of details about an upcoming meeting on May 15th at the Civic Plaza?
The meeting will be May 15th. It's about coyotes and coyote behavior. We've had a slow increase over the last few years, especially, of coyote population within the city of Bloomington. Along with that increase, we've had a steady rise in the amount of complaints coming into our department about coyotes. So in 2011, Animal Control and the Animal Control Unit and the Animal Control Supervisor went to a coyote seminar. Lindsay White Dasher, she's an urban wildlife specialist with the Humane Society, and she did a very educational piece for the animal control side of things when it comes to coyotes. We decided to bring her in and do a community seminar on how to live with and amongst coyotes. She'll go over coyote ecology, behaviors, and how to properly haze the animals so that people and coyotes can live together.
Okay.
And that'll be 7 o'clock, May 15th, Civic Plaza at the Schneider Theater.
Okay, perfect. Well, as always on the Pet Project, we try and bring you an animal that is up for adoption, and today is no exception to that. We'll take a short break and be back with an animal that could be yours. We'll be right back.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Welcome back to Bloomington Today. Well, now we have a special guest on set with us. We've been joined by Dr. Margaret Corey and, of course, Animal Control Officer Jacob Young. But now, why don't you tell us a little bit about our other guest with us today?
Well, this lady, she is looking for a new home. She was picked up the 13th of this month, cruising around in Bloomington, and we had hoped that she'd find her way back home, but nobody ever called looking, and we were unable to locate an owner. So she is going to be posted online today, and she will be available for adoption for anybody that's looking for a little bit older Schnauzer mixed dog. She's got very nice teeth and a very sweet disposition, as you can see, and she will be looking for a quality forever home.
Absolutely. Her temperament, just in the time that she's been in here, she's a cuddler and she's low-key and mellow.
Yes,
so
that's pretty much what we try and adopt out. Fees, as always, are $30 with tax. It comes to $32.18, and then the people will be required to license her within the city of Bloomington if they're Bloomington residents, and have her neutered if they're spayed or neutered if it's not already done.
Okay. Where can residents who are interested in learning more about this little girl or other animals that are available for adoption,
Sure.
where can they go?
Well, always www.ci.bloomington.mn.us, and then obviously they'll click on the banner of the animal shelter, and we list all the animals there, and they can sign up for the e-subscribe as well, and every time we post a new animal, they'll get an automatic alert to their email. They don't even have to come to the shelter, but they certainly can if they like.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, we'd like to thank both Dr. Margaret Corey for being here with us today and Animal Control Officer Jay Young. It's now time for a short break. We'll be right back.
Get your Smokey on. If you see someone in danger of starting a wildfire, Step in and make a difference, because 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back, everyone. Creekside Community Center, located at 9801 Penn Avenue South, is a hot spot for events and lunches sponsored by the city's Human Services Division. We sat in on a recent event geared toward keeping some cash in residents' pockets. Meet Erin Schneider. Erin proudly embraces the nickname Cheap Chick. And on April 16th, she made a stop at Creekside Community Center to share her thrifty deal finding and couponing ways with seniors 55 and older. One resource discussed was Facebook.
You can set up a Facebook account and not share anything and just use the resources there. It doesn't mean you have to tell everyone everything about yourself. So you can set up a Facebook account, and once you do, and it's free, completely free, and it's really easy to do. Just log on, enter your name, enter your email address, you're done. Then you go on there and you can start looking for your favorite businesses. All of your favorite businesses have business pages. And if you like their page, and all that you have to do to like a page is click the like button. It's really user friendly. You click the little like button and blammo, you are now following them, and they will give you discounts. They will give you coupons.
Residents enjoyed a delicious lunch while Erin shared tips about finding internet deals, group discounts, and using ads on receipts to get great local deals.
And then you always want to check your receipts. Have you ever just got a receipt and you're like, gee, there's a lot of printing on the back? You really just don't look at it that closely because you're in a hurry or whatever. Those are always coupons. And those are good ones for like local stores.
Bloomington's Human Services Division sponsors tons of fun and educational events like the Cheap Chick Speaker. Visit the city's website and find the Human Services page. There you can find the monthly activity calendar to find out about specific events and speakers coming to Creekside. And it's now time for another Arts at the Plaza segment, in which we highlight the changing art exhibitions that make their way into either of the Civic Plaza's 2 art galleries. From now until May 18th, you'll find the show Marking Moments in the Inez Greenberg Gallery, located on the lower level of Bloomington Civic Plaza. Artists Jack Dale and Danny Satoff ask viewers to slow down and take a moment to actually view the exhibition. The artists strive to capture a sense of life's fleeting moments in their respective mediums. Dale uses color combined with line and texture to create a story. Likewise, Satoff's sometimes whimsical sculptures fascinate the senses and spark curiosity about what will happen next. The Artist Talk will take place on May 10th at 7 p.m. right here at Civic Plaza. And that's all the time we have for today. To get more information on city projects, parks, road construction, and events, visit the city's website. To check out past Bloomington Today shows or other city productions, visit Bloomington's YouTube channel, accessible right from the city's homepage. That and so much more is online right now at www.ci.bloomington.mn.us. If Facebook or Twitter isn't your thing, sign up for eSubscribe to have updates sent right to your email or cell phone. This is Bloomington Today, a presentation of the City of Bloomington's Communications Division. I'm Kaylin Cockreal. Thanks so much for joining us.